When a kingdom fell to its knees in despair, history did not call a king. It chose a 12-year-old girl. At the beginning of the 15th century, France was dying. The 100 Years' War, which began in 1337, had dragged on for nearly a century, draining the land of blood, wealth, and hope. What had once been a proud kingdom was now fractured, exhausted, and humiliated. In 1415, the French army suffered a catastrophic defeat at the Battle of Agincourt. Thousands of French knights were slaughtered. The myth of French military superiority collapsed in a single day. 5 years later, in 1420, the Treaty of Troyes sealed the nation's humiliation. King Charles VI of France, weakened and unstable, recognized Henry V of England as the rightful heir to the French throne. His own son, the Dauphin Charles, was disinherited. In 1422, both Charles VI and Henry V died. A child, Henry VI of England, barely an infant, was proclaimed king of both England and France. France was split in two. The north was controlled by the English and their Burgundian allies. The south remained loyal to the disinherited Dauphin, now calling himself Charles VII, a king without a crown, without legitimacy, and without confidence. The people were weary, the nobles were divided, and hope was fading into darkness. History is usually changed by swords and blood, but this time it began with an unseen voice. On January 6, 1412, in the small village of Domremy, in northeastern France, a peasant girl named Jeanne d'Arc was born. She could not read, she could not write. She had never traveled far beyond her village. Yet in 1424, when Jeanne was about 12 years old, something extraordinary happened. While alone in a field, she heard voices, not once, not in a dream, but repeatedly. Jeanne would later testify that the voices belonged to Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. She described them not with fear, but with awe, saying that she wept when they departed because they were so beautiful. They did not teach her theology. They did not instruct her to preach. They gave her a single terrifying command: to liberate France and to lead Charles to Reims, where the true kings of France were crowned. Jeanne believed, without doubt, that God had chosen her. In a world where women were forbidden to bear arms, Jeanne d'Arc walked straight into war. By 1428, Jeanne was 16 years old. Against every expectation of medieval society, she left Domremy and traveled to Vaucouleurs, seeking an audience with the local military commander, Robert de Baudricourt. She asked for an escort to the royal court. She was mocked, ridiculed, dismissed as delusional. But Jeanne did not retreat. In early 1429, she returned, and this time she made a prediction. She foretold a French defeat at the Battle of the Herrings near Orleans. Days later, news from the battlefield confirmed her words. Baudricourt was shaken. Reluctantly, he agreed to send Jeanne to the royal court at Chinon. To reach it, she had to cross enemy-held territory, disguised as a man, an act punishable by death. Yet Jeanne did not hesitate. She was not driven by ambition. She was driven by obedience. In just 8 days, an illiterate girl changed the course of the war. In April 1429, Jeanne arrived at Orleans, the last major stronghold standing between the English army and total domination of southern France. If Orleans fell, France would fall with it. Jeanne donned white armor and carried a banner, not a sword, into battle. She did not fight as a brutal warrior, but as a living symbol of divine purpose. From April 29th to May 8th, 1429, French forces launched a series of relentless counterattacks. Fortresses fell. The English retreated. The siege was broken. In just 8 days, Orléans was liberated. For the first time in years, France believed again, not merely in victory, but in meaning. A shattered nation did not need another victory. It needed a legitimate king. After Orléans, Jeanne insisted on a bold and dangerous plan. March to Reims. Reims lay deep within enemy territory, yet Jeanne was unwavering. She claimed that God had already prepared the way. In July 1429, the army advanced, astonishingly, without major resistance. On July 17, 1429, Charles VII was crowned King of France in Reims Cathedral, according to ancient tradition. The crown restored legitimacy to the French monarchy. Jeanne's mission, at least in the eyes of history, was complete. When a symbol is no longer needed, power turns away. Jeanne wanted to continue fighting. The court hesitated. The generals delayed. Political caution replaced divine urgency. On May 23, 1430, during a skirmish near Compiègne, Jeanne was captured as the city gates closed behind her. Charles VII sent no army, no ransom, no protest. Jeanne was sold to the English for 10,000 gold livres. The girl who had saved France was abandoned. They did not fear her as a witch. They feared a woman who could not be broken. Jeanne was taken to Rouen on December 23, 1430. The English staged a religious trial to justify her execution. She was denied legal counsel. Witnesses were coerced. Records were altered. For 4 months, Jeanne endured interrogation, threats, and psychological torture. She never denied her voices. On May 30th, 1431, at just 19 years old, Jeanne d'Arc was burned alive. Her ashes were thrown into the river Seine as if to erase her from memory. Some people die so that history is forced to change. In 1456, a posthumous retrial declared Jeanne d'Arc innocent. In 1920, she was canonized by Pope Benedict XV. From a peasant girl, Jeanne became a saint. From a martyr, a national symbol. From a voice condemned, an eternal flame. Jeanne d'Arc did not conquer nations. She awakened them, and that flame still burns.